Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are here for our post-match review of the game we just witnessed between the Springboks and the Wallabies. As you can see below me here, the Wallabies able to get the win up against the Boks, 28 points to 26, and what came down to the wire, the final kick of the match, was what won it for the Wallabies, and Quade Cooper was actually able to get 8 from 8 kicks in this matchup, which was the difference in this game. But we will be talking all things player stats, match stats, everything that happened in this one, including all the try scorers. As you can see, Malcolm Marx picking himself up 2 in this match. Very impressive from that man. But we have got Johnny Blaze, we have got Go Sporting, we have got the squad. Also, chip in for 7. Also in there, we have got, tell you what, it's going quick at the moment. We have got Apple in there. And also Nicola, Tesla, Colin, and also, Colvin, and also Brent in there as well. Table please, buddy. Table please, buddy, as well, says Brett. Unfortunately, I haven't quite got it updated because I would have had to end up in the situation of it trying to load it up quickly, but I can actually show you guys the table on my phone, which I will then just show on the screen, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, at this stage, it's an interesting fixture because of the fact that it does mean that the Springboks, they will be sitting on 10 points, but the All Blacks, they are sitting on 15. So it is going to be pretty tough to be able to catch up just in this little kind of fixture. But like I mentioned the whole way through, the Springboks and the All Blacks, those two games at the end are going to choose who wins the Rugby Championship. So these games, they are important, but the Springboks are still going to come back firing in their next match that they play, and I am going to get you guys for the table right now, and we will see exactly how it is sitting. There we go. So I am going to show it on my phone. Hopefully the camera is a good enough focus. Please do it. There we go. Watch out for the shaky hands. I'm still a little bit wobbly after seeing the end of that game, but 15 for New Zealand, sitting on the 15 points. That is with a points differential of plus 91. Then South Africa sitting on 10 points with a points differential of plus 37. Australia now sitting on 4 points after getting that win up against the Springboks, and now Argentina still sitting on 0. Anyone wondering what that random line down my phone is? I dropped it on my foot, and I'm one of those people who don't normally drop their phone very often at all, and I dropped it, and now it's got that massive line, and I'm like, people throw their phone at the wall and they're fine, but my one, I cushioned it. I just gave it a little cushion, and it broke. Using Tribe as well, says Quinn Cooper. I am indeed for that one. It's a very useful app when it comes to tracking all of the sport that is happening definitely in the rugby world. Cheers as well, says Brett. No worries, mate. We have also got that Quade Cooper man of the match. Also, shout out to Malcolm Marx. He's a try-scoring machine. He is indeed. At the start of the game, I said a comment, and I said, watch out, second half, Malcolm Marx scores a try. I didn't predict 2, though. He scored 2, which was very impressive from that man. But then, in the end, the only try scored by the Springboks was actually 3 rolling maul tries. And they were going for the corner a little bit more. We have got, which app is that, Hamish? Looks all right. It is Tribe. I'm not sure whether or not it is available in anywhere other than New Zealand at this stage, but it is a very useful app. I have actually got a link in my comment, I thought, or in the description for Tribe, I think, from way back when I was using it, and kind of talking with them a little bit more about it. But yeah, it is a very useful app. Follow all of the rugby on there as well, although it doesn't give you match stats, which is what I am going to be pulling up for you guys now, because we saw at halftime. I'm going to give a quick explanation of the game. We saw the first try of the match going to Andrew Callaway. In this one, he was able to score it. But Bongi Umbanami's try, I will mention, probably didn't come in the 24th minute. Just kind of added that for fun because I couldn't remember what time it was. But Callaway scoring early for the Wallabies, so they were able to take that lead in the match. And there were a lot of yellow cards in this one. 4 yellow cards, 2 for each side. The first one coming to the captain, Sia Khaleesi, for a tip tackle on one of the Wallabies players. Then there was another yellow card, and that was going the way against the Wallabies, and that was Matt Phillip for ending up stopping a try from happening close to the line. And then there was another another yellow card for the Springboks. And in the end, that yellow card went the way of, I'm trying to think exactly who got that second yellow card. Who was it? Oh, Willie LaRue was the man who ended up with it. And then the last yellow card of the match went the way of the Wallabies. And then it was actually Folau Fainga'a who was taking out the kneecaps. And in that situation did end up with the yellow card. So 4 yellow cards. But something that I take out of this game straight away is the Springboks. They did a lot of kicking in that first half. And unfortunately, in that situation, they gave away, I think it was a few penalties, but it wasn't too many. But the Springboks, they ended up giving the ball to the Wallabies. And the Wallabies were taking those chances to just hang on to that ball. Who was the ref? He was someone from England. I can't quite remember the name, though, unfortunately. Sorry there. And if South Africa can beat Wallabies and All Blacks 2 times, then they will win exactly right. So anyone can still win the Rugby Championship other than Argentina, sadly. The Los Pumas lost, sadly. So they will not be able to win that one. But hopefully we do get to see a couple good performances from them in the future as well. Samu Kerevi was immense tonight. Carried hard into heavy traffic, having a heavy hitter like that as well inside of Quade Cooper's shoulder. Must give him a lot of confidence playing as well. Time for racing video part 2. Hope not. Hopefully we don't get another one of the long videos, but who knows? Maybe it could be the case. We have got thoughts. The other card for LaRue and the second card for Australia were a bit harsh as well, says 11J said. The second one for Australia, I can understand a little bit more because one of the rules, or the rule changes, I guess you could say, it's a 50-22. And then the other one was actually to make sure that when you see players taking out players' legs without, Luke Pierce is the name as well from Cabello, but yeah, taking out the players' legs without wrapping the arms, that is where they have decided that they really want to get strict so that we don't have players ending up with like terrible knees because of getting them bent the wrong way because of someone just trying to take out the leg to stop them from running rather than wrapping the arms. So that one I could understand a little bit more. Willie LaRue, I think the thing that really saved it from being the penalty try was the fact that Makazole Mapimpi was kind of tracking across field to be able to try and stop it. I do love reactions, so we should do one together. What games do you follow? Go Sporting, do let me know. And no arms as well, says Chippin for 7. And also that loss has set up a great game between the All Blacks and South Africa indeed, says David. Yeah, that's going to be an awesome fixture between the All Blacks and South Africa. Only 2 weeks away as well. Absolute Cooper as well, says Clayton. 8 from 8 kicks is just absolutely phenomenal. Don't like the 50-22 thing. I think it just makes no sense as well, says Gareth. I think in that situation, it's one of those, it's an interesting one. They've kind of changed it so that it almost becomes a little bit more like league in that situation. But yeah, it's an interesting rule. We saw one of them, the first of the Rugby Championship as well, and that was Nick White, who was able to nail that one before the 50-22. Who's man of the match, says Nicola. I would have to say, if it was up to me, I'd give it to either Quade Cooper for the Wallabies, just because of 8 from 8 is absolutely fantastic for a kicker. And then also, I'd say Malcolm Marks coming off the bench for the Springboks, if he was to get it as well. But I believe they gave it to, it was Quade Cooper. I think, congrats for your record attendance as well, says Brett. Thank you very much, mate. Hugely appreciate all the support that we did have. And we have got BK Sport, as said, I would let Quade Cooper penetrate anywhere he wants to as well. That is a nice comment. And of course, I guess we have to mention that on the podcast, not that exact line, but we will be talking about this game on the podcast, the Rugby Down Under podcast. It is on Spotify, it is on Apple, also on Google Podcast Reason, the lot, it is on there, and we're talking all things World Rugby, including the fact that the Springboks in the world rankings, I was informed, have dropped by minus 1.94. So that is a big drop, and they are getting closer and closer to being next to New Zealand. We have got, it was bound to happen. They've been playing really great rugby against the All Blacks as well, says Cameron. And also we have got their man of the match, Quade Cooper, coming in clutch. And the Wallabies versus South Africa game is more exciting than ABs versus Pumas. Changed my mind. Tell you what, a game that goes right down to the wire is just one that you can't really, you can't replicate in terms of excitement. Like, on the edge of my seat at the end of that game, you guys were as well, by the sounds of it. So it's one of those ones. It was absolutely insane the way that this match finished, that is for sure. But we will look through some player stats as well in a very short moment. But first of all, I have to link the podcast. I did forget to do that for that a little bit here because of the fact that this was kind of a rushed setup. But we will go like this, we will go like this, we will go like this, and hopefully we will go like this. And then it might behave itself, and then we will go like this, and then this, and then this. And then the podcast should be linked in the chat, hopefully, for you guys as well. Quade Cooper is possibly the sexiest human on the planet, as well, says BK Sport. I mean, don't tell him that, though, because I feel like he would well and truly love to hear that, and I feel like the ego would go through the roof in that regard. But that is the link to the podcast. That is the second one, the Rugby Down Under podcast. I agree. BK as well, says Nicola Tesla, and Box about to get destroyed by the ABs as well in that chat. And at this stage, I will quickly get those stats up. At this stage, we've got a huge amount of people watching as well. I do appreciate every single one of you for being here for this match. And it is pretty awesome, the fact that, I mean, in the end, it's an interesting one. If the Springboks had received one more try, or had gotten one more try, they would have actually received a bonus point for getting 3 or more tries than their opponent. So they weren't actually too far off that, the Springboks. But then, of course, if they had one more try, they would have won this game. Meters carried 211 for the Wallabies, 144 for the Springboks. Defenders beaten, there's a stat and a half. The Wallabies 21 defenders beaten, and the Springboks only 4 in this match. So that just shows that the Wallabies, they were willing to hit up the line, whereas the Springboks, they did quite a kicking game very early on. Are you really a Kiwi, says Harry? I am indeed. Yeah, born and bred here in NZ. We always got there in the chat. Pollard needs new kicking boots. 35-28 would have looked a rather different result. It would have indeed. The one at straight out in front that he hit the post, I was pretty much just completely shocked, because of the fact he's normally pretty solid in that regard, but wasn't able to, unfortunately, get that one over for the Springboks. There we have. It's got there in the chat. BKO Sports, over my brother, on your brother, much love to our Aussie Brethren as well, and Noel Alessio and Pollard as well. So you take Noel Alessio. I mean, Noel Alessio, would you have him next week in your starting lineup? BKR Sport, do let me know. But tackles made, 120 made by the Springboks, but missing 21 tackles, which is something we don't really see too often in the games up against the Springboks. Only 4 missed tackles for the Wallabies from 83 tackles that they were able to make, which is absolutely crazy in that regard. Penalties conceded, 17 against the Wallabies, 2 yellow cards, 11 against the Springboks, 2 yellow cards also, but 57% possession for the Wallabies in this one. And in the first half, they had it around that 66% mark. And it was very impressive indeed. We have also got there, get membership, or I'll shave my eyebrows off as well, says Nicola to BKR Sport. And also we have got Wally's always changing lanes to prevent kicks being contested as well, says Michael multiple times as well in there. But at this stage, player stats is going to be interesting. Of course, we know Quade Cooper kicked 8 from 8. Dwayne Vermeulen had 5 carries in this match and made 45 meters for the Springboks. Other than that, though, the next highest was Jasper Wiese with 17 meters, which is interesting enough. And Malcolm Marks, 2 tries, only ran the 11 meters, but he was very dangerous in the 11 meters that he did have. For Samu Karevi, he had 18 carries, 6 defenders beaten, 1 clean break, 53 meters carried as well. So he is definitely up there for man of the match as an option as well, because he did do very well in that midfield to keep on hitting the ball up. Rob Bellatini, 31 meters carried from 10 carries, but no defenders beat him. 13 tackles for Franco Mostert, 13 tackles for Lou Diaga, missed 5 tackles in the end though, but he did get a turnover, and 11 for Stephen Kitsoff. Then 10 tackles made by Lockie Swinton. He is the only Wallabies player who do reach double figures in this one. We have got there. It did affect their world ranking. They lost 1.94 points as well, says Cameron. And also we have got there in the chat, Andre Pollard wishes he could shine Noel Alecio's boot. And also we have got there, South Africa needs to move away from the constant kicking garbage as well, says Michael. It seems to be one of those ones now that they have lost a game. It might be that they decide to go back to the drawing board for a little bit. And they are just such as good or such a great team, South Africa. So I don't think it will take too much for them to be able to change their game just that little bit to be able to kind of adapt to the Southern Hemisphere style of the Wallabies and the All Blacks that we are going to get to see in a couple of weeks' time. But overall, I think the Springboks, you look at these numbers here, they had 21 kicks that they made at halftime, and then from there they kept on extending it. So in the end, they had 33 kicks, I believe, in this match, which is just a huge number compared to the Wallabies. Actually, it's even more than that, because Herschel Yankees and Damian Valimza. So it's actually 38 kicks in this match, I believe, if my maths is correct, which is an absolute huge number as well. And we have got there now 7 kicks. No, it's more than 7. It is currently 28 kicks. That's even quite a bit for the Wallabies, to be fair in that regard. Although that is the maths that is completely wrong, because it is 18 kicks for the Wallabies compared to the 30-something that I did mention earlier on that I've already forgotten that number as well. And we have got there in the NZ, or it's 11J said, I'm hoping South Africa do better next week when they lost to Australia. In 2018, they beat New Zealand the week after. Just have to work on some things as well. And yeah, that's the thing. The Springboks, they've got 6 days, but they are the kind of side that can actually adapt to that situation and have to make the quick changes. Like, I think, first of all, I feel like they're going to change Andre Pollard, but maybe because of that kicking game, unfortunately. So maybe they give Mornay Stain a run. Cheslin Colby, he is still injured. I'm not sure when he comes back, but maybe they try him rather than Nkosi out on that wing as well. We've had a very quiet game overall. In fact, when I look through the stats of how many times Nkosi touched the ball in this one, we are looking, he touched the ball once and made 1 meter and also did an offload. That is all that Nkosi had to do in this game. So he really didn't get the opportunity. But then saying that, Makazole Mapimpi, he had 1 carry in this match, 2 defenders beaten and made 9 meters. That was his only carry that he was able to get that go forward. Other than that, he was just shut down, which is a big shame because he's a tremendous player, Makazole Mapimpi as well. And we have got there big Hamish membership. I'll shave my eyebrows as well. And also we have got Stephen from Forever Sports is awfully quiet. He was beating the Bok drum earlier on as well, says Johnny Blaze. It's always tough when you're on live stream because of the fact that at this stage, you're in that situation of you're in front of a lot of people. And if you do support a team, then if that team loses, it's just very hard on the person because you know that the chat's going to absolutely rip them apart because of the fact that, I feel bad for the Rugby Guru because his Sharks lost yesterday by a record margin in the final of the Currie Cup, and then also the Springboks have lost this game. So it hasn't been a good weekend in that regard for those results. Hamish smashed these records tonight, though, as well. Says so he did indeed. And we have got there when I get PayPal. I'll have to work out how to do it because I haven't actually ever used PayPal before, but I will need to in that regard, we have got there. Welcome to my life as well, says Big R Sport. Although it is fine for me because I'm always sitting down the middle for these games. Like if the All Blacks ended up losing by like 30 points or something, I feel like I'd still not really have people trying to trash talk me because of the fact that when the All Blacks are winning, I don't really go after any of the kind of drawing in a little bit of a controversy we have got there. At the end of the day, South Africa talked a big game and didn't deliver in the least as well, says Trey, and yeah, BK as well says it is a chip in for 7, and also and there we have got there. What's good for me as well, says Wicked Night. These live streams are making your channel grow so much as well, says Uncle Bill. So yeah, the support on these ones has been absolutely crazy. And I'm wondering, I had a game filmed of Rugby Challenge 4, and I was going to release it because it was the Springboks versus the Wallabies. I'm kind of glad that I didn't in some regards because of the fact that I didn't want to have it coming out in the, like kind of before the game because people may have thought it was the real match. But I'm wondering, if you guys are keen, do you want me to edit that? Because I have got it on my computer at the moment. I have it recorded. Do you want to see that on the channel? Because I know that you guys love a bit of Rugby Challenge, and we're going to be bringing some Rugby Challenge this week as well. That if sure I can crash talk though, it's only when little nerds make 100 accounts that like that fella as well. We have got there. Of course, there's no point in talking trash as well, says Perez, and also good job again today, Hamish. Much appreciated from those of us without Sky or DS TV. And that's the thing. I absolutely love doing these because of the fact that I get to interact with you guys, and also I get to provide the commentary for those guys who don't have the game available. Like it's not available in some countries. Other countries have it just a massive amount that you got to pay per month to be able to watch these games. And you also get that kind of group environment of people in the chat who you can just talk along with. And it is pretty awesome indeed. We have got there Pollard. Musco, he has lost it with Limsa. Take the kick. What a joke. I've told you for years he can tackle, but that's about it. He can't kick, can't pass. I call him a dancing fairy as well, says Brian. That's another good point. Andre Pollard wasn't the only player who missed kicks for the Wallabies. Damien Valimza did miss that one. So I feel like everyone's probably looking at Andre Pollard going, you should have won us the game, but Damien Valimza also had that kick. So don't go too hard on Andre Pollard. He is an experienced veteran, that is for sure. He actually plays in my game. The worst thing is he has a good game on my Rugby Challenge one. So I feel like that's going to cause a little bit of a split. In that regard, we have got yes as well from Kelly, and also we have got love that game, says chip in for 7. And also in there we have got you really similar times. I get the hits as well, says chip in for 7. And also we have got there. Thanks for the commentary, Hamish. You have been great as always. Thank you very much, mate. And also get a PayPal so BK can join the gang as well. And well done, Wallabies. If the box pick I'm not sure what that word is. Unfortunately, NPC chat will know as well, says Cabello. I mean, we are going to be talking about the Bunnings NPC very soon. Indeed, it is coming back next weekend. It's going to be in that situation of Waikato taking on Canterbury on Friday night. That's an exciting game. I am loving the amount of rugby we've got on at the moment. DSTV premium is ridiculous, and the only reason people have it is because of their premium sport content. It is 1,200. Not sure how much Aussie or New Zealand dollars it is, but in that South African, I think that's 120 New Zealand dollars. Is that per month for that, Cameron? Do let me know. And we have got there in the chat, why can't I sign up? Why can't you sign up as well, says Malik. Says he is hounding him at the moment, and hard to be mad at Pollard considering he is nailed. Oh, I missed that one. Where did it go? It's going quick at the moment. We have got there in there, hard to be mad at Pollard considering he nailed everything in the World Cup. Yeah, he's one of those players. Yes, he's missed a few kicks, but he's also won the Springboks a few games in the past. Even the British and Irish Lions tour, his kicking in that middle game, I believe it was, actually got them a very good lead. If I'm not wrong, I think that was the game that he played 10, and Pollard is experienced the Cooper, but tonight it just wasn't right, or it wasn't his night off the tee as well, says Sammy Sona. Well put there, mate. And also we have got there in the chat, hashtag fins up as well from Chippin for 7, and also we have got Bok. We are played by the Convicts today. The big game players we pull each and every one. This Bok will be back. They will be hurt as well, says Morse. And another stat. I don't know whether or not you guys remember at the very start of the match, I gave my game changes. Right. So the game changes I gave was Eben Etzebeth, who touched the ball twice in this match, and also gave away 2 penalties, I believe it says here. And my other changer, I believe it was Quade Cooper. I actually predicted the Wallabies game changer as well, and that is per month. So yeah, that is very expensive. Here we go, watch sport, that is for sure. And thank you for responding on the best provincial comp on the planet. I absolutely love it, and that is why I'm going to be covering Bunnings NPC games as soon as they start back up, because I know that they won't be anywhere near as popular as the international games, but I absolutely love learning more about these players at provincial level, so that when I see them play in Super Rugby and whatnot, it's absolutely awesome as well. We have got there in the chat. My team unbeaten on the world stage in the game as well, says Wicked Night. And also we have got Aussie, oi as well from Smithy Toiler. Welcome into the live stream, mate. Hope you are doing well and love a good start as well, says Chip in for 7. And also, oh no, here comes the NPC stat. Tell you what, I could bring out stats for days, including the fact that Wellington are going to be playing Taranaki. Not really a stat, just a fixture, but going to be an exciting one. If give Pollard lessons, 93% career average, never missed a winning kick as well, says Brian. As well, see, that's the thing. He's such a good kicker, Andre Pollard. And I know that people will say, oh, he shouldn't have been at 10. He should have been taken off. Mornay Stain is the one that we need, but it's just one of those ones. He got unlucky, Andre Pollard. When it's not happening off the boot, it's not happening off the boot. And it's one of those worst feelings in the world when you know that you should be kicking them, but they aren't going over. And it's one of those ones that you just end up in that situation of just feeling bad for the guy because, like you mentioned, he's an experienced veteran. Andre Pollard, did they get the bonus points? Says Mamori. In the end, they get 1 point, the Springboks. So they are sitting on 10 points now, 5 points behind the New Zealanders who are sitting on 15 at the stage. And it is Smithy as well, says Tesla. And also we have got there, keep those box supporters silent as well, says Smithy Toilet. It's going to be interesting because I know that a lot of people were, we had a lineups video on the channel and there were a lot of people going back and forth in terms of the results of this game. And in the end, yeah, to go the way of the Wallabies in the final moments. But nonetheless, I think we are almost at the end of this post-match review. I feel like I will do a little bit more of a proper post-match review a little bit later on at some stage because I have been talking massively throughout this one and my voice is probably about to disappear. But nonetheless, I will start editing that rugby challenge video if that is something you guys are keen on. But nonetheless, said nonetheless many times, but nonetheless, we'll say it again. Right. Okay. So there is currently thunder outside. So this is not sounding good. I feel like we're about to have a lot of hail. Perhaps could be coming around. And well, great stuff as well, says Joshua. Thank you very much, mate. And also South Africa playing Northern Hemisphere football's received Northern Hemisphere results as well. Says BKR Sport and EA Sports Rugby World Champ back-to-back as well. Says Wicked Night. And All Blacks are number 1. Just wait for it as well in there. And All Blacks number 1, Australia number 2, and England number 3. Going into the World Cup, perhaps, is that guest Bad Boy Cooper has nearly done it or clearly done it for Australia again. Yeah, that's the difference in this game. The Australians, we know that the Springboks defense is phenomenal. You can't score many tries against them. The Australians, they were able to get one early, and that was Andrew Callaway, and that was with a man advantage, I believe, when Sia Khaleesi was off the field. So you're in that situation of they just played well, the Wallabies, for what they were given in that match. They were given the ball quite a bit. They couldn't get through that defensive line, but 8 from 8 kicks for Michael Hooper. He wasn't kicking, but he probably would have loved to kick one over as well. But for Quade Cooper is the name. And at that stage, he did very nicely indeed. We have got 10 more minutes, Hamish, as well. Smithy Toilets here, that is true. So we will have a bit more of a chat, I think. I think I can stick around for another 10 minutes. I'm wearing a suit. I might loosen the tie. It was for Argentina. It was supposed to be Argentina winning the match. But yeah, they didn't end up getting the win, unfortunately. So that is not lucky. Why is this collar so bloody massive? Look at the size of it. It's one of those shirts. It's very hard to be able to really put a tie around it because it's just an absolute huge one. Even if you do it up, it's just a huge tie. But this one wasn't the situation. It was going to be for Argentina, but unfortunately, come on, no, he's got a. Oh no, I've missed him completely. He's got a slippery bugger, that one, and we almost got there. I smoked in John Olumoso as well. It says it was Wicked Night, and like the video as well, it says for on. And if you haven't already, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Watch the game with the Cuzzies. All of them jumped out of their seats in the last scrum as well. Says Smithy Toilet, no way did we lose as well. Says Lofted Luke, they did indeed. 28 points to 26 in the end. Went right down to the wire. I've got Insta on the screen. What does that mean? Tell people if they have. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to read that. Once it finishes in the. Okay, right. I have been informed about the Rugby Down Under podcast, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions that you would like to see us answer on the Rugby Down Under podcast, which is the pinned comment link there, be sure to leave it in the chat and we will be answering them not on this live stream, but we will answer them on the next one. So with that question, just put a little, we put rugby, put RD at the start of that question so that I know not to answer it on this live stream and rather on the Rugby Down Under podcast. So like, so as an example here, you just go like, I mean, this is not a question that we want, but you'd put it like that. So you'd have RD at the start, do you like beef, as your question, and then you go from there. And Kwasi has said, I honestly believe the blocks are burnt out. That line series was similar to a war as well, says Kwasi. Yeah, there were a few big hits in that one, that is for sure. We've had 2 players returning. I do like beef as big sport as well. And you think South Africa will have a chance to beat New Zealand, says Ferris. I think it all depends on how we see South Africa kind of come back from this defeat, because when you've won so many games in a row, you're not used to that losing feeling. So because of it, I think it's going to be in that situation of if they can really fight back in that next game up against the Wallabies and win it comfortably, I would say that they've got a little bit more momentum going into that game up against the All Blacks. But I'm going to be excited to see what the result is going to be there. As an All Blacks fan, I can't stop laughing as well. Says Sublime, and also we have got there in the chat, anyone have a chance to defeat the ABs, mate? As well, anyone has a chance to defeat them, they do indeed. And we have got the like KFC and Macca's. And also, right, we have got Fair as well. Hooper had another good game. Australia bench also had a good impact as well. Yeah, Taniela Tupou in that scrum up against Oxton Shade. There were quite a few stare downs in this match between the two sides. I always realise I can lean back on these because my microphone is here. It's normally here, so I normally have to stay forward, but I can go like this without going too low. Oops, that's a little bit too low. I can go back here. We can just chill out. We won't slouch that badly, but we have got there. And in the chat, good on the Wallabies, man. I'm genuinely happy for them. And Churchill, Kazi, Quade Cooper, the Tokarai legend, as well says it was Johnny Blaze. Yeah, 8 from 8's phenomenal. Like, I keep on going on about that, but 8 from 8 is what was the difference in this one between these two sides. I'm singing the Australian anthem, fellas. What a game as well, says Smithy Toilet. And also we have got oh, okay, that's a good question, Cabello. Wait, is that for the podcast or is that for just now? I feel like I'll answer it now because I know that Big House Sport doesn't like talking about the provincial competition too much in that one, but my province for the Bunnings NPC, it's a tough one. I always kind of skirt around it because there are about 6 teams that I normally really keep an eye on. So I will end up in that situation. I will quickly have a look through the teams list, but I like to watch, first of all, Canterbury. They're the closest to me overall in terms of location, but then also close by is Otago. Tasman, hard side not to get behind at times. Also Auckland, very strong side as well. And then Wellington, I've actually enjoyed watching Wellington this year so far. Duplessis Karefi, when he's not breaking the lockdown, he's quite a good player out on the field. And he is one of those ones that you got to watch out for because he can really make some good meters as well. I actually wrapped the Wallabies one as well. Or I'm actually wrapped as well, says David David. And also we have got, it was definitely Advanced Australia Flair. And also we have got one of the Wallabies do this last week. As well, like, that is a good question. Although maybe those defeats up against the All Blacks just taught them tiny lessons that then led them into this game. Because I'm going to ask the question. Actually, no, I'm not. Because I think I will save it for the podcast. I might tell you what, we're going to put it in the chat. A moment. We're just typing it out. A long question. There we go. That's my question that I am going to put in the chat as well. The Wallabies beat the All Blacks last week. Would they still have played Quade Cooper? It's a good question. I feel like that's a good one. We'll give me one of those. Oh, that's quite a few buttons. I didn't realize I get 4. It's a bit of a treat. I've got 8 on me. 9, 10. Tell you what, buttons for days on this thing. Oh, yeah, I've got there in the chat as well. Here, what, we're going quick at the moment, but I do appreciate every single one of you. Okay, I'm not sure whether you guys can hear that or not, but that sounds very close thunder. So I feel like, who knows, maybe it's going to absolutely bucket down, bit of wind as well. We might lose power, but, you know, it's all right. We've finished our live streams. I'm in a weird mood at the moment, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a big day overall. Like, we've had the support on these 2 live streams and this one as well. Even having this live stream have over 100 people watching is just absolutely incredible. And I thank every single one of you for being here for this one. Kiwi lads, it looks like you're wearing your dad's Sunday suit as well, says Cameron. That's the thing. It's a weird story. I wore it for the ball in 2017 or somewhere, or 2018, somewhere around there. So, like, the shoulders are pretty tight, but this shirt is very loose because I used to be a bit bigger than I am now. So, like, it's just massive, the shirt. I'm not taking it off, though. I will leave it on just for this stage. We want to stay PG, of course. This was utter bad rugby. I will stay PG. The Wallabies did outwit and outplay the Boks. It's fair to say Andre Pollard lost this game for us, although also Damien Willemse missed a kick as well late in that game as well, which is very unfortunate. There's heaps of lightning in New Zealand right now. Should I open the curtain and get zapped? We'll see how it goes. We'll see whether or not you can see the flash of lightning. Should I sit in the dark? I'm debating whether or not to sit in the pure darkness, but I think I will hold off possibly because I'd have to go and turn off the lights in that regard, and I don't think it's going to pick up the lightning. at this stage. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. I guess I should still talk, though, shouldn't I? In that regard, I thank you for your honesty. I'm a proper North Islander, though I'm a Sapper as well, says Cabello. But yeah, I absolutely love the Bunnings NPC. It's one of those competitions that no matter how little views or anything like that it gets on this channel, I'm still going to be covering every single game of that competition that I can. Same with the top 14. Same with the Gallagher Premiership and also Unreal Results Day. Thank you for your live coverage as well, says Simon. And also, where are you? I'm in Christchurch. It's coming soon here too. I am about 2.5 hours south of Christchurch at the moment, or maybe almost 3 hours. Still looking smooth, even without the tie. I hope that lightning doesn't singe off the beard though. Although saying that, the beard has to go. I said if the Wallabies win this match, Newham, this part's gone. That's what's going to happen. It's going to be disappearing, and I'm just going to have the stash, which is unfortunate because I look a bit dodgy with the stash, I'll be honest. But Dalton probably he scored a try, so maybe with the stash, I might be able to score myself a bit of a try as well in my backyard or just go and dive on the grass where we have got nothing like the Rugby Championship. Unpredictable rugby a lot of the time, which is why it's so entertaining as well. Humble pie for breakfast in South Africa as well. We have got there. If is it he Curtin that saves from being zapped as well? Says it is Wicked Night. Imagine that. Imagine if I'm live on live stream and it just all of a sudden like zaps out and you just see a massive strike. And we have got there. I think the weather is heading up our way as well. Have you had wind up there, David? Because we had very windy earlier on. There was actually severe weather warnings for the wind side of it, and it was going to be in that situation of I was worried the live stream was going to get cut out because of the power going out. I thought it was going to happen, but luckily it did end up in that situation of it didn't go out. But if it did, I was going to be ready. I was actually going to be setting up on my phone. I was going to buy a data plan, and then we were going to be in that situation. I've just realized I've got a video to film as well. It is going to be with the Rugby Itch as well. We are going to be filming a little video. Should I invite him onto this one for a little bit? Should I? He's a South African supporter though. Yeah, we'll invite him briefly and see whether or not he wants to have a quick wee chat with us as well. I'll see whether or not he wants to come on for a quick wee post-match review. Seeing as we've got all of you lovely ladies and gentlemen here already, would you... Oops, I can't spell. There we go. I'll send him a message. Rugby Itch, bring him on, please, bro. It's us, this Johnny Blaze. It will be kind of cool because of the fact that if you were on his live stream, you would have seen his reaction throughout that whole match. He is a South African, though, or he is kind of South African. Next workout, Hamish should bet to shave your eyebrows and all facial hair if we lose to some trash team as well. And Corbello has said a little bit earlier on, thank you, Kiwi Lad, you're quite the exemplary, that's a hard word, exemplary Kiwi. I believe that is how you pronounce it, but I can't quite speak at this stage for sure as well. He has said so. All right, we will send him a link and we will have Rugby Itch coming on for a little bit. Anyone who doesn't know about Rugby Itch is another content creator here on YouTube based around the rugby, and he is keen, I should say, come on for a little post-match review with the old Kiwi lads. I won't jump on because it would ruin the chat between me and Hamish on the Rugby Down Under podcast. And so that is a good point because of the fact that, yeah, we end up talking about these moments on the Rugby Down Under podcast. The link for that one is going to be Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, all of that good stuff. It is on there. I'm in a weird mood at the moment, as you guys know. For some reason, I think it's because I didn't sleep that much last night or the night before because I did the game in the middle of the night. So one of those interesting situations we have. What's got there in the chat? Tell you what, it's going quick at the moment. I will try my best to read all the messages. I'm here, brother. And also we have got there, I thought Rugby Itch was Zimbabwean. As well as Sammy Sosa, his father is Zimbabwean. He will have to explain this to us probably. But his father is Zimbabwean, which I think is why he has that kind of support for South Africa as well. We have got there, thank you, really looking forward for the shave off as well, says TMO. And at this stage, it's going to be, I don't know how well it's going to look because it's going to be in that situation. It's just going to be that. I've had the mustache for a wee while. So I feel like you guys are going to want to see that come off as well. But one thing I'm not doing yet is eyebrows. That's not happening quite at this stage because I still I've got to go out and about next week. I've got something just up the road for something that I've got to do. So I do not want to have only one eyebrow for that one. So I guess as long as I do it before the next live stream, which is going to be next Friday, and that will be the Bunnings NPC. I've got there in the chat, or we don't have in the chat, but we do have a man who has just appeared magically. Hello, mate. Everyone would think I've been drinking, wouldn't they?
How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing well, mate. How are you doing after seeing that result?
I'll be honest, as a Springbok fan, I'm obviously disappointed. But also at the same time, I'm kind of like, there's a bit of a good feeling in my heart that obviously for Quade Cooper, because it's one of those where for him to have that kind of bounce back, obviously for the Wallabies, I'm not actually as disappointed as I would be normally. But yeah, credit to the Wallabies. I mean, really, obviously I said it within my live stream, but I said Quade Cooper was definitely my man of the match within the game for sure. I mean, he just stood up for me right on top. I mean, obviously he kicked what, 8 out of 8 conversions, I think, / penalties. Here, let me just quickly. I'll move my camera down as well.
For Justin, tell you what, I've done a shocking job there. Oh,
just
no.
the adjustments.
Oh no.
But yeah, no. Overall, I'm pretty pleased. I guess as a Springbok fan, from what I saw, but there's definitely a lot of improvements we can make. Particularly, obviously, I think the main. I'm not sure if you guys have already covered it already, but I think the main comment which I would say the Springboks have to work on is definitely their. I'd say within the breakdown. That's probably one area which I didn't feel they didn't add because they normally do better within the breakdown, in my opinion. But Australia, they did well to actually claim the ball at times, and that's what they drew. It was just so annoying to see that. I mean, that's what annoyed me the most, actually. I mean, the Springboks actually did pretty well, obviously within the scrum, lineouts. That's expected. So I'm not actually that's just expected from a Springbok point of view. But yeah, it was a breakdown that really just I guess disappointed me. But overall, I mean, well done to the Wallabies. The Wallabies really brought the game towards the Springboks throughout the whole match. I mean, the whole match. And Wallabies definitely deserve to win that. I hands up, the Wallabies were brilliant. And yeah, I mean, unfortunately, in my opinion, I do think this does now mean that the New Zealand are have a 90% chance now of winning the Rugby Championship because of this loss. I mean, it's one of those where.
What's the?
No, I mean, it's just so obvious. That's the thing is that it's one of those where it comes a time where I think maybe I'm not sure. I can't see the comments, but I think a lot of people would say when the All Blacks win, it kind of just gets repetitive. So you kind of want to see that kind of bounce. So that's obviously when Argentina beat the All Blacks last year, even though the All Blacks obviously won the Tri-Nation still, it was still a good moment, and that's I would take that. For this, obviously, I think a lot of people would take obviously maybe just say the Wallabies, for example, win their both games against Argentina, and they have this one victory against the Springboks. They would take that because it's a good moment for them. So yeah, I mean, well done obviously towards the Wallabies. They were brilliant, and yeah, inside I'm hurting. I'm not showing it, but I am hurting. But it's one of those where,
because I mean, I saw some people making a good point though, and that is if the Springboks win both the games up against the All Blacks, then they will still have.
This is what I mean is that if we win, but the thing with that though, I might be wrong in saying this. People can obviously comment below, but if the Springboks win both games against the All Blacks, do they have to be bonus point games or just 4-pointers? Because it's one of those where there is a difference between that. Because obviously the Springboks got a losing bonus point. I'll just say a losing bonus point.
They almost snuck another one as well for being 3 tries or more.
Exactly.
Ahead as well, which was a little bit sneaky.
The crazy thing is that the Springboks did very well, in my opinion, to come back into the game. So I credit him for that. But I knew straight away, as soon as we what was it? As soon as we what was the moment I knew? It was when we. Oh yeah.
Was it the hit off the post?
No, it wasn't that. No? It was when when the All Blacks not the All Blacks, when the Springboks had their first scrum, and the scrum went up. So the referee said we had to reset. I was like, oh my gosh, we've lost it, because I knew straight away the Wallabies would win that. From there, the Wallabies obviously won, and I was like, okay, well, it's game over. But it was one of those where, and also from Damian Williamson, he missed it. The amount of kicks that the Springboks missed, it was ridiculous. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that can go into it. I mean, Andre Pollard obviously didn't have the best of games. That's probably the main, you could say, negative on a spin point of view. But I'm trying to think if there's another player I was impressed by within the Wallabies. I guess
I would say Samu Karevi is another.
Yeah, Karevi was the main one. But I'm trying to think. He always has a good game for the Wallabies. So I try to stay away from him because he's always that impressive. I'm trying to think. Kellaway, he's definitely stepped up in my ranks for what he's done for the Wallabies. I still don't think he does anything really for the Rebels, but we'll have to wait and see, obviously, later on. Right. But he does well for the Wallabies. But I'm trying to think. There must be one player I can think of that I was very impressed by the Wallabies.
I don't know whether there's anyone else who really like Lockie Swindon played a physical game.
No,
in the breakdown, which he seemed to do.
Terrible. He was. I mean, he gave
Really?
he gave a
most
stupid.
tackles?
He gave a
Most
stupid
tackles?
yellow card. It's the same old Lachlan Swinton where he does no arms tackles. I'm like, God, just get the guy off. Like he's that kind of guy. But no,
although he was one of the players who stayed out there. 4 other players yellow carded in this game.
It's ridiculous. But that's the thing is that what I've noticed. I mean, I think you might have noticed this as well. But when you watch Super Rugby AU compared to Super Rugby Ultra Rare, obviously from the previous competitions, now it's not that's not the name anymore. But from that standpoint, within AU, there were so many more there's so much like cards within each of the games. So it's kind of expected from, I guess, for even like last year's tournament, there were so many cards within the Tri Nations that was last year compared to, like, I think it was the record for the most amount of cards in a rugby, a Tri Nations / Rugby Championship tournament. So it's going to be the same again for this year, I think, in that sense. But I like it. I actually like it because it brings more, you could say, more
opportunities.
It brings more doubt and opportunities in it. So I personally like it. But yeah,
right. We will look through some of the comments that we have got as well. We have got there in the chat. Cabello has said, "Hi boys, good to note. Disappointed myself. What a performance from Quaid as well." From Cabello, yeah. How, like, the thing is, when he used to play Quade Cooper, like, you would always see everything about him was negative in terms of the media, people's opinions of him. Yet in this game, I don't think I saw one bad comment about him. Everyone was saying they saw an interview the other day, and he was just a changed man in that regard.
He deserves everything he gets because it's one of those where I know this is maybe the comparison Wallabies fans don't want to hear, but when you compare Quade Cooper into the praise that he gets, obviously with him returning, to the likes of like James O'Connor, who he has like a kind of a bad stick in that sense for like he's an on and off, but they're similar personalities in that sense. Quade Cooper, I prefer Quade Cooper more than James O'Connor, I'll be honest, just because it's one of those where that might shock a lot of people, but it's one of those where Quade Cooper wasn't the one that kicked the winning conversion against the All Blacks in Hong Kong when I was there watching it. So that's a bit of a feeling in that. But it's also because Quade Cooper. I actually like Quade Cooper. It was one of those. It was the first game of rugby, of Super Rugby I ever watched. Was Reds versus Blues in 2011, where it was played within Queensland, and that's when Quade Cooper was just I think that was the best. Was that the best he ever was? In my opinion, I would say that was the best he ever was for the Wallabies during that period. And he had that insane like sidestep on the right hand side, passed it off to who was it? Digby Ione at the time, I believe it was. And from there he brilliant. He was absolutely outstanding. So for that reason, I have a soft spot for him. But overall, I think everyone loved to see him return back into the game. I'll be honest, when I thought, maybe that's just because I've been watching football recently with the return of Ronaldo, I thought for some reason he was also 36 years old. I was like, oh, so this is a big return for Quade Cooper. But of course, I think he's only 33, if I'm not mistaken. So
because we saw rumors that Holmes was going to make a return to the Wallabies, didn't we?
He is making a return.
He is still coming back, is he?
He's coming. It's official. He's coming back for sure. He's going to be included within the next, I believe, what is it? There was a period of where I'm not sure he's able to train next week or the week after, but I know 100% he's going to help out. I don't know how, but he'll be included somehow within the games.
That transfers into this question from David. David, a little bit of a segue there. It is the question of, do you think that bringing back older players or oldest players in Holmes is a good thing? I added that little part in. Does it deny younger up-and-coming players a chance to prove themselves as well?
I think it depends on who you talk about, like which nation you talk about. Because from Australia's point of view, I actually think they've gone with a lot of younger players within the last 2 years. So it's actually good in my point of view, to actually go with some experience, particularly within that back line. Because if you look at Australia's back line, just go off the last 3 games really against the All Blacks. Like their back line, there was literally no experience within that back line besides maybe Nick White at times when he came on, obviously, but. So that for that reason, I would have to say it's good to have someone who has a lot of experience under their belts, obviously under Quade Cooper. And obviously, they had a few players. They brought back Isaac Rodda instead of Darcy Swain.
Yeah.
I mean, I've always said this. I think we've discussed this before, but I love Darcy Swain. I think he's the next big thing for the Wallabies. Like I know this is a strong step. I mean, he's not going to be as good as a Toje, but he's like the equivalent of like a Toje, in my opinion, for the Wallabies. Like how that's the level he can go to if he. But obviously, he's so young. He has potential to do that, but. It's one of those where, I mean, Isaac Rodda, he was brilliant. He's the other player, actually, I want to mention. He's the other player I was very impressed by throughout the whole game. He really brought his own, and yeah, very impressed by the amount of, he got some line-out steals in there. So, yeah, credit to him because...
I think that's his impressive. Big stat. Because
it's impressive. I think
they haven't given him any running meters or any carries in this game.
4 or 3? He must have been around that.
What's this one? Line-outs 1, line-out stolen. That's the stat that we're after.
Yeah.
It's only given him credit for 1. Maybe no, he got more than that. I think
he got 3. If I'm not mistaken, I think he had around 3 within the game. But he was.
I guess the other point of that factor as well is when you've got those younger players. Like I would have thought, if they were going to drop Darcy Swain, that maybe it'd be dropped to the bench just to give him a late run round up against the Springboks rather than starting him, because he was going to be up against Etzebeth, which I think is why they had to go with Rodda here. Because Etzebeth would have bullied Swain every day of the week.
Yeah,
but Etzebeth not having the best game, only touching the ball twice.
Yeah, he didn't have the best game at all, really. Etzebeth, out of every game I've seen Etzebeth play, this is probably it wasn't the greatest performance from him, to be honest. I was very happy from a South African standpoint to see the Vermeulen back. I mean, that brought tears to my eyes just seeing him come back into the side. I was like, yes, what we need. Instead of like Jasper Owase. But I mean, it's one of those where, from that point I was very happy. But it's just, I'm gonna keep on repeating myself. I'm just so mad inside. But but for the right reasons, I can accept it. Obviously, from Quade Cooper's standpoint. So just gonna take on the chin.
Because we have got 10 points missed cost the box as well in the chat a couple of times. Because of course. Andre Pollard and Damien Williams are not the best kicking day overall. Yeah. Whereas it's interesting because we saw the game between the All Blacks and the Wallabies. In that game last week, that is. And Noel Alessio missed that kick straight out in front. Bowden Barrett also missed that kick straight in front.
It was terrible.
So we thought maybe it was something to do with the footing or something to do with the ground that just didn't let them quite set up. But then when you see one guy nailing kicks from all over the place and then the other side just not quite able to get that. I think, it's interesting. Andre Pollard's not a player you expect to miss kicks. And for him to miss that one out in front and it hit the post.
He really had an off day. He has off days. That's the thing. Is that with Andre Pollard, obviously he is, in my opinion, one of the best. I mean, you could say, a lot of people could argue this, but he's like in the top 3 for fly-offs in the world. No question about it.
Yeah. But
at the moment, I wouldn't say, he obviously he was number 1 in 2019 by a long shot. 2020, I mean, he wasn't playing, to be honest. He was only playing really for, what's his club? Montpellier. So it's one of those where, and he had that big injury as well. So he was out for a period of time. So I'd say he fell down to you could say 3, in my opinion, because he just wasn't playing. I think I'd have to say Mwanga was number 1 for the period of time. And then maybe you can go with that's a conversation. Maybe I would have said maybe Russell. I like Russell. I mean, for what it is. I mean, for what he did with Scotland for that Six Nations period. But that's another discussion we can talk about later. But
I could listen to this type of stuff for hours a day. Same as a lot of us, rugby commentary doesn't even need games as well, and it's something that maybe we can look at doing in the future as well, perhaps.
Of course, that's the thing. I would be totally up for it. Where we can try to do a format where we get maybe 2 of us to do on one stream instead of I don't know. We can maybe do vice versa on each channel. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. Maybe for one game each week, because obviously there's going to be 2 games. But that's I'm not sure we can do that. Maybe something down the line. But yeah, that would be actually a great idea to do.
But nonetheless, quickly looking through once again, 3 tries scored for the Springboks off rolling mauls. And at this match, not able to get too much going in that back line, other than, of course, the Wallabies were able to score just that 1 try. And at this one, a huge amount of tackles having to be made by South Africa, although I say huge, but it wasn't Argentina huge
That's expected
in that
though.
regard, because
Yeah.
they had to certainly do quite a bit
Yep.
of work there in that game. Argentina, 200 plus tackles, I believe they made, but 21 tackles missed by the Springboks, which is a little bit uncharacteristic.
How many missed?
21 missed tackles, it says.
Okay, that's not. They're
So
normally
they-
within 10. That's bad. That's bad.
Yeah, so about 79% tackling accuracy, I believe, for this match. But nonetheless, I think we are going to be almost off the end of this live stream. We do appreciate every single one of you for tuning in. If you are new, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And also be sure to check out Rugby Itch, who is to my left.
Yeah.
This way.
To your right.
He is to my left-hand side.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. I will be back hopefully tomorrow morning for a top 14 live stream at 7 a.m. That is hopefully going to be the case. But yeah, we will see how we go. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. And I will see you all for the next one.